Hey there, welcome to this episode of Coffee Solo on this June 12, 2025, recorded at 6:34 p.m. First episode of the day, first episode in a couple of days. Title, and again, the title is not always like a plan. I literally just read an article about this, so just go with ActivityPub. If you're blue sky versus Twitter versus the real future, then you have some idea what that means. But yes, today, the 12th of June, it's Thursday evening. The summary of today's episode, which I have written ahead of time. Mark Cuban, see, that's what I've just read. Mark Cuban appears to have sparked a little blue sky reality check. Twitter CEO hits back. The CEO is not Elon Musk. It's the woman that he hired away from somewhere, and she's barely around. Twitter CEO hits back with silly boasts about Twitter being the town square. Useless Musk chimes in, of course. The CTO of Blue Sky hits back on LinkedIn, and the silliness of the day continues. Like, this is actually important. Twitter should be not important at this point, but whatever. The links for today's episode, of course, buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo, buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo/posts if you want to listen in on the Buy Me an Update audio program every Monday. It's a 5-minute episode of a quick rundown of previous episodes of regularly scheduled programming. I don't summarize Coffee Solo. And then the announcements and upcoming whatever. There's no obligation to spend any money there or here on Ko-fi.com. Have at it. And a Nasal Fresh MD affiliate link, as promised in 2 previous episodes, maybe. I've been upping the dosage. So I've been doing my Nasal Fresh MD. I didn't do it last night, did it today. It's always better when I do. Hopefully you can hear a difference in my voice. It's easier to speak, which I guess sounds odd. When my sinuses are doing their thing, it causes my throat to like tense up. Maybe my pharynx becomes less interested in communicating. So in order to speak, my range will be limited, and it not only sounds labored, but it is labored to actually speak. So yeah, hopefully this is better, improving. A few more days. I haven't been going high concentration on the saline, so I might try that one day and see what that does. But generally speaking, I feel better, breathing easier, and so on. So check out the affiliate link if you suffer from nasal issues. This is not a paid advertisement, just an affiliate link, just because I do think the product has worked wonders for myself. Maybe it will for you too. So what's going on? What's today? So yeah, Blue Sky Twitter. I stopped using Twitter. I skim through it to see what people are saying sometimes, just because there's usually just horrible people, and I'm never disappointed. Blue Sky, on the other hand, is becoming like that. There are more and more people that are, I guess, feeling free to say, we may as well make this place stink. Also, I hear a weird noise. My neighbor upstairs is making horrendous amounts of noise at different times of the day. So if we pick that up, I'm going to go ahead and leave it in. It's becoming a problem. That must be the plumbing. Where I live, you can hear various plumbing noises. Occasionally, the fire alarm will get tripped. There are fire doors, and I can hear when they are, is it fire doors? It might be I don't think it's the fire doors. I can hear an electric motor sometimes turning, and I'm wondering, it might be the ductwork. The hallways have cooling ducts to keep it cool in the indoor hallways where I am. So I can hear those going sometimes. It's a cornucopia. But anyway, so if we hear some banging or the sound of bodies flopping on the floor or vertical bowling or something, I'll point it out. You should be able to hear it. I did test that today. I can, with exactly the current microphone setup, not moving it at all. So the podcast speaking mode, I can pick up the chaos upstairs just fine. Anyway, so I'm not a fan of Blue Sky. I post there every once in a while. I actually delete my posts if nobody interacts with them, because I don't want to just start stacking up waste of time posts. And it also reminds me that it's probably not worthwhile anyway. I have 4 Mastodon accounts, so I have an account on 4 different servers. To me, this makes so much more sense. I don't know why people have to rush to establish their little beachhead. Oh, Twitter is ours. Oh, then we have to go somewhere else. I must have a different, I'm going to go with Blue Sky. And it's unfortunate because everybody believes, oh, you can build apps on Blue Sky. Okay. But they still depend on Blue Sky in some way. I guess you can deploy AT-Proto. I haven't really delved into that. I know that the creator, or at least one of them, of ActivityPub and someone from Blue Sky had a sort of a public conversational debate. It wasn't like knockdown, drag out. Yeah. So it was an actual interesting conversation back and forth about the pros and cons of some architectural decisions and scalability and so on. ActivityPub, while it is not perfect, it is far from it. I don't know why caching is left to chance, and apparently it just doesn't happen. So you get the slash dot effect all over again. But ActivityPub does seem to scale better with multiple servers, whereas ActivityPub, you end up with a huge amount of storage requirements for creating your own node on an AT-Proto network. So I'm leaning more just in general towards ActivityPub. I'm kind of a fan of activity streams. I think the way sort of proximal, I hear the heavy steps of my upstairs lunatic. I don't know if you can hear that. It rattles stuff in my kitchen and whatnot. It happens all the time for months and months, and I've had enough. So ActivityPub, ActivityStream, it kind of comes close, or it has its lineage in semantic web, structured data, RDF, linked entities, triples, all that. I just think it's an interesting way to go. And I think, everything we're doing with Innovate for Vegas Foundation will kind of dovetail from ActivityPub based stuff. I don't know if I've mentioned it here. The Mastodon.Vegas server really needs to see the light of day. Where, hey, fun fact, we're about to come upon our the end of our fiscal year on 30 June. So on 1 July 2025, we will commence our 4th year as a 501c3 public charity, which means because we did file a 1023-EZ, we are no longer encumbered by the $50,000 gross receipts cap. Why does this matter? Because we never came close to reaching anywhere near a $50,000 gross receipts donation revenue stream, or I don't know. That's not really revenue, I guess, but we never came close. We never got through. We never reached 3 digits in our 3rd year. So what does matter though is if we do launch Mastodon.Vegas, for example, and we retain it as a sort of a donation driver, if we can build support on a public-facing utility, right? Hopefully this will bring sort of value to the community of Greater Vegas. Ooh, he must be doing jumping jacks or something. So we can bring that value. Hopefully people will donate, and that can sort of loop back into some other stuff we have planned. So I'd like to get up into enough money to support having a cloud-hosted Mastodon server. I have tried to reach out to Fastly about, hosting a server for a charity in a place like Vegas. They are jerks. They didn't actually respond, but they did put me on a junk mail mailing list. But they don't really care. So I think it makes sense to launch first. And then if we can get attention, that's great. That's generally how we're doing things with the Innovate for Vegas Foundation anyway. So, but yeah, ActivityPub is the sort of the way it will be the thing that our new technologies make use of. No need to really deal with AT-Proto. And of course, Twitter is a pile steaming at that. I created an episode of FFS Talk yesterday. The topic and the title were collective action. In other words, protest gatherings especially. It's not intended to be completely comprehensive. It was just throwing out an idea, which was and it was on the heels of the protest gathering on the 101 freeway in LA, which is just asking for trouble if you're blocking cars. But my assertion was and is that if you're going to do large scale gatherings, you're basically just setting yourself up for tactical interdiction by law enforcement and now paramilitary and military organizations. So that just seems troublesome. And in this modern era, it's kind of a bet that doesn't lean well towards the protesters. So in my view, the protests, if you're going to do a large number of people protesting, you should spread it out into little clusters, or if you want to call them cells, maybe that's a little bit too much on the nose if people are going to allege domestic terrorism. But essentially break up into clusters of 2 to 10 people, have somebody, separate from the group, like across the street or something, recording video, have people in the cluster available to record video so you get any sort of evidence gathering under control. You can always post the protest effort of the cluster to any social media or some rally point, some digital rally point, so that people can see what's going on. And you can spread the protest action, the collective action, over a huge area by comparison. So if you have 1,000 people show up to block the freeway, imagine what groups of 10 people, so that's 100 clusters. 100 clusters spread around LA and moving around, a couple of hours at this corner, a couple of hours a couple blocks away. Everybody's moving around. You don't cause any headaches. No store owner's going to come out and, hey, get out of here. You just say, okay, we'll move to another corner. People don't have to avoid you. They're just going to be driving and walking by. You can engage with people. You're much less menacing, and the odds of having a bad actor in your cluster go down if you all know each other. If someone decides they do want to loot or commit some crimes or become unpleasant, you can take action more directly. It's not like, one looter, now it's 1,000 people in a riot. It's not one person that just stirred up some trouble. So anyway, that was the point of that episode. And now, they're watching the news today, the LA riots, and how they're gonna burn it. They're gonna burn the whole city down. And what's the immigration czar, whatever guy? He said, we're just gonna invade, or we're gonna put troops in all of the blue cities or liberal cities. It's getting bizarre, but people on the ground in LA have been saying, I don't know about these riots, but in there, people are playing music and gatherings for musical events, so it's not a show of force. It's more of a show of music, a show of culture. So yeah, interesting times, but I just think clustering would allow more focused citizen journalism. Local news media really likes when things get violent, because that drives up their viewership, of course. You can hear my neighbor. I don't know what he's doing. I sometimes think he's playing with a dog or bouncing a concrete basketball. But, oh yeah. Sorry, I was pausing there to see if he would get in. I truncate silence, so some of the pausing may not show up. But I was waiting to see if it showed up on the VU meter. But yes, you should be able to hear what I hear all the time. Occasionally 4 a.m, this kind of silliness. It could be any moment at any time of any day. That's good for health, good sleep, etc. So yeah, I'm going to see if they're going to do anything about this. So yeah, LA riots, I don't know, the Chicago car thing is a problem in general, and that's one of my points of contention. If you're going to have a big giant group of people, you're going to have bad actors, you're going to have counter protesters, you're going to have engagement with law enforcement and others, and eventually things just go poorly until somebody drives a car into a group of people. And it's glib, but it's just becoming too common now. So I think status quo needs a little refresh. These are interesting times. I think we should start being more creative with how we express our opinions about what's going on around us in general. Protests can adopt modernity, in my opinion. Yeah, obviously, when you're doing these clusters, you can take advantage of secure messaging and obviously live streaming from mobile devices and encrypted devices, pseudonymous identities, so you're not, sharing your ID on a group chat somewhere. My location is always available on my phone, right? You're always being tracked. So if you're in a big giant cluster of 1,000 people, they're like, clearly you were in the crowd, even if, oh no, I was a spectator, I was walking home. There's video of a woman trying to walk home in downtown LA after curfew, and she gets shot with a rubber bullet, of course. I mean, sure. So So yeah, these are interesting times, but I just think adopting modernity, making use of technology, but also being aware of how it can be used against and so on, I think is valuable. I do think a protest done peacefully and within the law makes the protesters look better. History will remember peaceful protests. They also remember riots, but not always quite the same way. So I completely support so-called peaceful protest. If people start breaking windows, causing trouble, lighting cars on fire, that's a very different thing. Hey, speaking of tackling senators, that was nuts today. I don't know if you keep track of the news this closely. I just had the news on earlier in the day. Is it Senator Padilla from California? I don't even get that name correct. I think it's Padilla. California Senator. California Senator tackled. Yeah. Senator Padilla was forcibly removed from a news conference being thrown by Kristi Noem. So he went to ask a question as they're like starting to touch him. He's like, I'm Senator Padilla. I'm Senator Padilla from California. I think he says from California. He definitely says, I am Senator Padilla. So you can watch the videos. I don't need to include any of that. But the take home is that that's just getting ridiculous. It's not a good look. Senator Alex Padilla was not menacing. He's an older gentleman. He had a question. It is a press conference. I don't think he was not arrested, but he was taken out of the press conference area to a hallway. He was not thrown to the ground, but he was definitely going to be getting on the ground, face down. And they were putting handcuffs on him. I don't know if they ever stood him up, cuffed, and had him go anywhere. He was not actually arrested. But this is silly. I don't mean in a good way. I don't mean to minimize it, but there should be no minimization. There should be careful examination of all that's happening. I've read a couple books, history books. I know history is not so cool, but it's a good, it's like checking the weather, right? The weather's never going to be exactly the same. But if the rainy season comes a little bit earlier this year, you're like, according to history, it's earlier than usual. That might be worth knowing. So history does not repeat. I don't even know if it rhymes, but it does help you judge the weather. And there is every reason to be concerned about what's unfolding. The only good news is that competence is not a strong suit, in my opinion. But we shall see. I would very much like a boring, concerned, interested, competent person or a group of people to lead the country back on some normal track. I think international relations were probably worth what was in place. Certainly examination of what was in place would have been nice. That can always be done, but to break things. I think Elon Musk is a ridiculous clown. I was not a fan of him before, so I don't have to worry about changing my mind. I've never been a fan. I will never be a fan. I think he's ridiculous. I do understand that he has a certain handicap component to him. He's functionally ill, I guess, or has a condition. I'm not going to diagnose it. He's claimed some things. Who knows? But I don't feel sorry for him. I think he's a jerk. I think he is not as smart as he thinks he is. I think he has good ideas and has been in the right place at the right time. I think he's been able to capitalize. I also think he's been a bad actor in many regards. The kerfuffle with Trump and then the backpedaling and the capitulation is just, I mean, you can't even, back if you were a supporter of his. Oh yeah, look, he's giving it back to him. Oh, he's what? He's already given in. It's been 48 hours? Okay. So I don't have any respect for him. I never did. Let's talk about something more fun. Vegas. 2 people got murdered by the Bellagio the other night. The guy who did it turned himself in. It was apparently a squabble over content creators insulting each other online. I think it was YouTube, so I don't believe Twitter and Blue Sky were involved in this one, but someday. This has, of course, prompted discussions and articles to be written and so on about, discussions online, YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTubers in Vegas, so let's talk about crime on the Strip. Crime on the Strip is actually down year over year. There's a lot of show of force with the police on the strip. I think the number of incidents is just not very high, maybe because of the show of force. The LVMP, LVMPD, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, because the strip, the actual Las Vegas strip, is not in the city of Las Vegas. Fun fact. The city of Las Vegas, if you're curious, at where the strip is, it's basically where the stratosphere. So it's right around Sahara. So if you go north of Sahara, you're in city of Las Vegas. So if you're on south of there, you're in unincorporated Clark County. Why do that if you're in the mob and you don't want to have to be encumbered by city government regulations and taxes and so on? Oh, okay. Yeah. So the city of Las Vegas is not directly involved, but the LVMPD is basically the way sheriffs work in counties. So they essentially cover parts of Clark County. They may even cover the whole thing. I'm not really sure, actually, but they definitely cover the strip. So they placed an area command office or point. It's not a full-on, like there's an area command near me where I live. There's an area command near downtown that I've been to. These are police facilities. They're not huge. They're not like central offices with motor pools and jail cell. Well, they might have jail cells, holding cells, but they're, there's interview areas. There's a waiting area. There's a bulletproof glass that you can speak to try to get some assistance with stuff, so on. So the area commands are legitimate offices. There's also an area command point, like a tiny little, hole in the wall on Fremont Street, right near the, what's it called? The Slotzilla? Yeah, Slotzilla, which is what's the thing when you hang from the cable and you slide? What is that called? But anyway, so they're right there. And then there's one also now on the strip, and it's been there for a little over a year, I think. So that may have an impact. It may be proximity. I know there's show of force in some areas, specific areas. I just learned the other day that there's like an exit from the fashion show mall where people would run into the Nike store, grab some sneakers, run out directly out of the mall through like a service exit. I mean, it's open to it's not like a secret exit, but it's not a mall entrance and exit. It's like a side door. So they would run out there. So now they have police officers parked right there. So it's an interesting thing. I think crime in Vegas gets a lot of attention. I would think that they would be highlighting the reduction in crime more. I don't think they have been. Violent crime and property crime are both down, I guess. So yeah, that's good. Where I live in the suburbs north of, I live in the northern part of the city of Las Vegas, and not to be confused with the city of North Las Vegas. That's different. Where I live, there's a lot of car-related stuff. There have been some hit and run. There have been some, if I'm walking, and I'll get to my leg in a second, it's been getting better. But if I'm walking and if I'm not careful, there have been several occasions where if I'm not paying attention, somebody could have clipped me in a crosswalk. So people in the suburbs are not at all tuned in to pedestrians. So that can be a problem. There's also been some drag racing and some other showboating, I guess. And then car theft and car burglary. And I haven't even read a lot about catalytic converter theft. So I think they may have sort of quelled those. There are traffic cameras installed that I think they're probably making use of for other vehicle identification. And they put in these, I call it a blue light special. If you're a Kmart fan, they put in these little trailers with a, I'm going to say 30-foot boom, maybe 25. I don't know if it's a full 30 feet, maybe 30 feet. So it's a vertical pole with a blue light on top. And then there's some solar panels and cameras and a microphone. I think there must be a microphone. Some cameras and probably almost certainly night vision, so IR cameras, and a speaker. So if you walk near the thing, and it looks like a generator trailer, which is kind of what it is anyway. So if you walk past it and nobody has walked past it in a while, it will announce itself to you. You are being recorded. Steer clear of whatever it says. I don't know. It's some menacing robotic type voice. I think at the end it says you have 20 seconds to comply or something. I'm usually just moving. I don't really stop and hang out, interact with it. But yeah, so those are popping up more around where I live. So it's kind of interesting. But I think, I think they're just trying to make Vegas a little bit safer for the sake of the future of the visitor economy here, and for locals. So speaking of locals, I'm not going to link to it today because it's just so dumb that I'm going to spend a little bit more time diving into it. But the LVCVA, Las Vegas Visitors and Conventions Authority, Convention and Visitors Authority, yeah, CVA. They just launched a locals, not site, but part of a site. I think their site is visitlasvegas.com. They also have lvcva.com. Visitlasvegas.com/locals, I think. But it's a very sad attempt to tell people what's going on. Hey, here's what's the latest restaurants to open, and here's events going on this weekend. But it's literally like I don't think it's individual. All right, I'll look. I don't think it's individual blog posts per se. Visit Las Vegas locals. Yeah, this is inspired by Down to Party. I think Down to Play. Down to Play is the downtown Las Vegas website. So this is very similar. 10 must visit Las Vegas spas. Yeah. So it's one big giant page of content. You can't link to parts of it. You can't share, like there's not number 5, Bellagio spa and salon. So you can't send someone to this page and say, here's the one I'm thinking of. So it's not totally intended for people to interact with remotely, if you will. Like you can't really collaborate on, hey, what should we do tonight? Well, here's the stuff going on. Here is, yeah, it's just a kind of a mess. And then down to play. Vegas is another one. Is it still there? Yeah, it's still there, and it gets redirected to playcation.vegas. And it's very similar idea, images. So basically, the point I'm going to make here, and the topic of tomorrow's episode of Cafe Genius Impresarios, the city of Las Vegas, and in fact, Clark County, Southern Nevada, fancies itself to be a global innovation hub that rivals the San Francisco Bay Area. And that is simply not true. So when I see them getting very excited about launching a website that is essentially a copy of another website that also isn't good, I'm like, all you're doing is putting links and pictures. You're not putting calendars. There's no maps. There's no summary tools. There's no really useful search. You're just having categories that somebody has to look through. So you're not helping anyone. It doesn't look like they enable subscriptions to things. Like, yeah, tell me, like a mailing list or similar, right? Tell me about concerts. Tell me about restaurant openings, whatever, right? So you're on your own. Same with the playcation down to play thing. I'm like, this is not innovation. This is Las Vegas 2000. So I continue to be disappointed by this stuff. And it's something I'm focused on to try to make a difference. Less and less out of the goodness of my heart, but more because it's an opportunity, I think, that is waiting to be, I don't want to say exploited, but certainly a gap to be filled. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm focusing on in general. As for my leg, I know you're wondering, that's why you're all here. My leg is improving day by day, which is great. As I'm speaking to you right now, I have a cane that I was using during the first week for sure. The cane I sometimes now misplace because I'm like, oh, did I leave it by the front door? Or did I leave it kind of between the front door and the bathroom, which is the usual place, just in case I need it for whatever. But yeah, every day has been improving. Although I have to be honest, today, I think for the past 3 days, I've been kind of pushing it a little bit hard. So today I'm like, I think I'm just gonna back off a little bit. So my benchmark has been the mail room where I am is I'm gonna rough estimate. I'm gonna say 200, maybe 250 yards each way with an elevator stop in there to go down one floor. And 3 days ago, I think I walked most of the way there, or maybe 4 days ago now, Tuesday. 3 days ago. I think it was Tuesday or maybe Monday. I walked all the way there with a little bit of cane. A couple of spots where I was like, oh, let me let me take some of the load off here. The next day I did like 75% no cane, just a couple of spots here and there. Yesterday, day before and yesterday, I think day before was more improvement. Yesterday, no cane. I brought it with me just in case, but no cane. Not walking fast by any means. I will not win any races yet, but yeah, walk there and back. So I think I don't want to get overly exuberant and pull something or cause trouble. So today I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to chill. I'm going to relax. Going to let my leg enjoy its improvement without putting some challenge to it. So I don't need to walk to the mailroom. I don't need to walk to the store. I don't really need to walk anywhere. So I've just been hanging out. I can stand at my standing desk, which I'm doing right now. I can record audio episodes, which I've been doing throughout, uninterrupted. And I'm able to move around short distances. So I can stand and I can walk short distances without issue. It used to be like the first week, if I bumped my foot into something, that hurt. But now pretty much back to normal, but walking a longer distance, like mailroom, grocery store across the street, I can feel that I'm stretching muscles that I don't normally. I'm trying to walk a little bit faster so I can cross the street, for example, without getting hit by one of these. Well, we already talked about that. And walking around the grocery store and walking back, that's a little bit farther. I don't know if I can do a mile. I used to, and in fact, the morning this happened, I was all ready to go drop off a box of boxes, broken down boxes, into the recycle dumpster. And then I was going to walk around my usual 3-mile constitutional. So that got tossed out the window. So I'm eagerly looking forward to getting back to just kind of moving around. If you are a fan of Ryan Bingham from Up in the Air, you know that movement is life. So if you stop moving, So I'm looking forward to get back to like a normal movement schedule, go back to the gym and so on. It's just not viable to walk to my usual gym. And of course, the gym here where I live, we're going to be closing it for redoing the floor for a few days, probably a week. So just when I'm ready to start getting back in and maybe take it easy, but slowly ramp back up to, nope, sorry. So I'll just try to do some more walking and go from there. Anything else going on? I think AI is getting too weird. I hope people are not getting sucked into it, but I think that's already happening. It's going to be some sort of invasion of the body snatcher scenario where more and more people have been taken. Like, I don't even think anymore. I just ask AI to do stuff for me and then it just does it. And I don't even know if it's right. And then they'll look at you and go, oh, but yeah, I think we're just going to end up being like, I don't want to do anything for the whole people cheating on college and high school and whatever else. But to me, I mean, if you're going to cheat in high school, that's just dumb. If you're going to cheat in college and have AI do your work for you, hello, why are you paying to get a letter grade and you're not going to know it? You're not going to know anything. And I understand that you'll end up working for someone who also doesn't know anything, but you will both be trying to figure out how to, like, where do I set the timer for these French fries? And what are you going to do? Have AI do it for you? Then they'll just get rid of you then. Like, AI can make the fries too. So I think it's going to be an interesting time. My neighbor upstairs has gone quiet, so that's good. It's been 37 minutes. Might be a good time to call it a day. I got to prepare the Cafe Genius Impresario's audio program, my final show of the week on Fridays. And then everything starts anew with Buy Me an Update on Monday. I don't know if you're listening to any of those other shows, if you're even listening to this one, but hopefully you will. Check them out. See what you think. There's more to follow, more to come, more stuff. Oh, there he goes. Let's wait a few seconds. Is the other ginormous concrete shoe going to fall? Yeah. All right. That's where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As always, don't forget, buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo/post. Check out Buy Me an Update on Monday. And come right back here and see when the next episode comes out. I'm kind of thinking, even though both Buy Me an Update and Coffee Solo are published, get the air quotes out, exclusively on buymeacoffee.com and ko-fi.com, respectively. I really need to launch like a media site for my own various projects and work. Buy Me a Coffee is okay, but I should be able to have like my own RSS feeds or streams of content so people can just find them. So we'll see what I come up with, but I think those two should be on like a Dan Hugo page or a Dan Hugo website or something. So that seems likely. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. Now it really is 39:30. So, all right, take care.